This is Enhance 2, a stereophonic enhancer by Joranalogue Audio Design. Enhance 2 uses clever but rather basic calculations to extract a mid and a side channel from a left and a right input. The mid channel is the sum of the left and the right, or in other words, it's the part of the signal that's the same on both sides, and the side channel is the difference between the left and the right channel. And it's really quite literal, the difference, as left and right are subtracted for each other to get the side channel. And by giving us the outputs for the mid and the side channels, and the inputs as well, which are normalized to each other and nothing is patched in, we can use Enhance 2 to process the mid and the side channels separately. So you can route one or the other, or both, through different effects or processors, and as the mid and the side channel both are mono signals, you can use mono processors to actually get a stereo movement out of the left and the right outputs of Enhance 2. And this is just because of the way mid-side processing works, and because of how the left and the right outputs are extracted from the mid and the side channels. Now there's already a few mid-side processors on the market, but Enhance 2 gives us additional controls for balance. So this is essentially just the panning or the level between the left and the right channels. It gives us control over the width. So when we turn this knob completely to the left, we're only listening to the mid channel, and when we turn this completely to the right, and we can use this knob to make our signal sound wider in the stereo field. Sometimes playing around with mid-side processing can result in phase-related issues. These phase-related issues can result in a really thin or weird sounding mix whenever you collapse the stereo outputs into a mono signal. And Enhance 2 gives us a really quick way to look at this phase correlation. So essentially, whenever the phase correlation is between 0 and +1, collapsing the stereo signals back into a mono signal won't cause any issues. By the way, +1 means that there's no difference between the left and the right signal. You can see this when I pull out the signal that's going into the right input, as the left and the right inputs are normalized on Enhance 2. So the left and the right inputs are exactly the same, and you can see that the LED just below +1 lights up. You do have phase related issues that result in a weird sounding mono track whenever the phase correlation is between 0 and -1. It's really easy to see on Enhance 2, as these LEDs, as you can see, are red. Enhance 2 also gives us a way to control the equalization of the mid and the side channels. These mid-tilt and side-tilt knobs are tilt EQs, and they have a bass and a high setting. When you turn the tilt EQ to the left, you filter out the top end and you boost the low end. Alternatively, if you turn it to the right, there's a cut to the low end and a boost to the top end. And you have exactly the same control over the side information. And as some of you might know, putting a mid-side equalizer on a mix is a technique that's widely used by mixing engineers to create a wider stereo spread and a less muddy low end. For this, you just filter out some of the lows on the side channels, and you filter out maybe a little of the highs on the mid channel. As you can see, there's also CV control over the balance over the mid and the side tilt EQs, and over the width. Now let's try processing the mid and the side channels with different effects to hear how this sounds and how a creative and cool tool mid-side processing really is. This patch already has a lot of stereo information. Let's mute the drums. So this is a chord coming from braids. There's a little bit of stereo delay on this one. Then there's this sound, which is generated through a ripples filter, panned hard to the left. And this is another generate 3 through another ripples filter, panned hard to the right. So everything together. And let's set the drums. And I've used the tilt EQs on Enhance 2 to filter out some of the top end from the mid channel and some of the lows from the side channel. I'm taking the side channel through a reverb with the orange and purple cable. Now let me turn up the wet, and you'll hear that there's a really wide reverb, but only on the sides. And you will hear when I mute the synths, there's no reverb on the drums because they are completely centered on the mixer. Now let me take the side channel through a ring modulator. I'm using the Modemix as a ring modulator here, and it's modulated by the EO Wave Zone BF. Let me turn up the rate of the modulation. Let's go up into low audio rates. And this is a really cool way to add ring modulation, but only to the side. So everything in the middle of your stereo sound, everything that's the same on the left and the right, has no ring modulation going on. Now just for fun, let's try this side channel through a modulated filter. I'm using the MA35 here. And you can hear when you patch the side channels through a mono effect, even through a filter, like now, you can greatly enhance the stereo width with Enhance 2. Now let's try distortion. And since I'm routing the side channel through a distortion, there's a lot of added gain. But I can bring it back a little bit using the width control on Enhance 2. And when I turn this knob completely down, the side channels which are going through a distortion are completely gone. Alternatively, when I turn this one completely to the right, you can also see how there's some phase correlation issues here. The last thing I want to try with this patch is routing the side channels through a modulated bucket brigade delay. In this patch, I'm using the output from braids, which is a mono signal, into the left input of Enhance 2. And as I have explained before, the left input on Enhance 2 is normalized to the right input, so what we're listening to is completely mono. Now you can use Enhance to create a really wide reverb from a mono signal by using the mid output to route into a reverb and by sending the mono output of the reverb into the side input. Right now the dry-wet control on the reverb is completely on the dry side, but let me turn it up to the wet side. For this example, I'm using the output from braids through a stereo reverb into the left and right inputs of Enhance 2. And you can hear there's already a nice stereo spread. Now just using Enhance 2 without any external processing, I can make this sound wider by using a different EQ on both the mid and the side channels, and by turning the width knob to the right. I can further enhance the stereo image by routing the mid channel through a modulated filter. For this I'm using the 2-pole low-pass output on ripples. And you can hear that even when you process only the mid channel separately, you can create a movement between the left and the right outputs. Of course, we can go a step further by inserting a bandpass filter into the side channel. With this setup, I want to highlight the stereo tilt EQ patch that's in the patch examples in the manual of Enhance 2. It's a really cool way to use Enhance 2 for something that it really wasn't designed for, but it works really well nonetheless. For this patch I've used two Generate 3s. The first one is routed through the first ripples filter and the output is on the red cable. The second one is going through the second ripples filter and the output is the blue cable. For this patch to work, you need to center all the knobs and connect the left and the right channels of your voice or mix or whatever into the mid and the side inputs on Enhance 2. Now please note, these are the second ones. The first mid-side jacks are the outputs. So you connect the left and the right pair to the mid and the side inputs on Enhance 2. You connect the left and the right output of Enhance 2 back to the left and the right inputs. And then you can use the mid and the side outputs, so the first ones, as a true stereo output. Let me open the filters a little bit so you can hear better what's going on. Now the reason you would do this is because now you can use the tilt filters as stereo tilt filters. So the left one EQs the left channel and the right one EQs the right channel. Now there's dozens of cool stereo tricks I can think of using this setup, but I leave those up to you to explore. One thing I want to show you is that you can just as well use the envelopes going into my filters to route into the CV inputs for the tilt EQs. Of course, now I have to open my filters. And now you can hear that the envelopes are modulating the timbre of the left and the right channel that I've routed through Enhance 2. I'm going to end this quick video here, even though there's a lot more that can be done with mid-side processing. And even besides mid-side processing, there's a lot more you can do with Enhance 2. You can use Enhance 2 as a voltage controlled panner. You can use it as a single channel VCA with spectral shaping. You can use Enhance 2 as an averager. And there's got to be a million things that I haven't even thought about. Nevertheless, I hope you learned something. If there's any questions, please leave them in the comments. Thanks for watching.